Welcome to this ninth day of July in 2025 on the NDB Media Network, and you are watching Talented Universe, which we are going to be discussing the Librarians, the next chapter, episode 8. I can't believe we're on episode 8 already.
I know.
We've only got 4 more for this season. So it's like 1 month from now, we'll be doing our season finale. Woo.
Boo.
Well, that's good and bad because they probably because they'll be finished filming season 2 pretty soon. So that's a good thing. So hopefully sometime early next year we will have season 2 and we can go from there. But this lovely episode and everything has crashed on me in the last 24 hours. So I gotta get this back up and we will talk about this episode, which is, oh, Cody, and the hangover from hell. Now, I will say right up front, this was not one of my favorite episodes. I didn't hate it, but I wasn't thrilled with it like I have with some of the other ones. That's what I'm just going to say up front for me. I don't know if anybody else wants to make a comment before we begin, but
I will agree with you on that, Michael. It wasn't one of my favorites either. So it was good, but it just didn't have that extra punch the others have.
Mm-hmm. Now, Greg, are you trying to refer to some of Vikram's drinking utensils?
I am.
Okay, I was wondering if that's what you were doing. So let's talk about that. How it, as more people described what they thought had happened that evening, Vikram's glasses just got
bigger and bigger.
So, I mean, it wasn't a great story, but it had a lot of fun moments.
It did have fun moments. It did, but it just had some other things that I went, I think it could have been better, but hey, what do you do?
I was trying to think of it, like what bothered me about it, and it just seemed like it was almost like too contained, and it seemed like a very awkward way to do the cool thing of having different perspectives be done in different styles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Linda says, I thought it was really funny. And then she says, a 19-inch long straw. Yeah.
Well, Greg, it's interesting you said it seemed almost too contained, because on my second viewing, it snapped in my head, this is a bottle episode. And, bottle episode is one that just takes place all in one place practically, and you don't go outside, you don't go anywhere. And my understanding is usually bottle episodes are done to save money because you don't have different outside sets and all this other stuff to do. And I thought, maybe that might have had something to do with them wanting to contain an episode where they were all kind of in one place and kind of shifted everything around. But they had to do 3 different viewpoints. Well, 4.
Well, they really did 4, yeah.
4, yeah.
So, I thought it was, it had some really interesting. I really liked the noir, Charlie's viewpoint. I thought that was well done with the 1940s style and the black and white. I liked that a lot.
Oh, I mean, it was very clever. I mean, the costuming was great for each of the viewpoints. I just, for something like a bottle episode, there could have been a lot more, different angles, different use of the spaces. There's a lot of close-ups. So it was like really hard to get a sense of like, it's like every time they were at the bar, it's like they were literally on top of the bar. The photo booth thing, it was funny, but you know, I don't know, it's like everything was like little vignettes. You know, I love the idea of the one set play. Um, even films that take that, like Triple H and Rip It Up, the idea of everything happening in one place. But I just, it just
Greg,
felt,
you're breaking up. At least to me, you are. I don't know if I.
Yeah, he was breaking up a little.
it just felt incomplete.
Well, at the very beginning of the episode, where they're all lying on the floor, and Vikram rushes to Charlie, and says, "Don't die. I thought I'd lost you." That sort of took me aback a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought,
Are they
huh?
going to start a relationship type of thing? I had the same
What?
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's so in love with Anya that
And
I don't get that.
Well, he also said he
But-
loved Liza in the episode too.
Yeah.
But it seemed different. It was a different
Yeah.
emotional level.
he
At least I
touched her
thought so.
face, and it was kind of really strange.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't see it like that at all. Maybe it's just because of my perspective that I was looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just kind of thought that, I mean, we know from, but see, Marcia, you do not, but most everybody else does, that Guardians don't last very long. They
No.
die. And so that's why that I just assumed he said, "Oh no, I've lost another Guardian," or "Here's a Guardian, bit the dust." That's kind of how I looked at it. I didn't look like that he loved her. Or he was having feelings. But I didn't. I'll ask Greg. Greg, I mean, you've seen the previous Librarians. So what did you think of what I thought, or did you think what the others thought on the panel?
Actually, I think I had a different take on it.
Oh, you did too. Okay, there you go.
I thought maybe he was still a little crocked.
Oh, well, and that could be too. That honestly could be too.
Well, I've written that down to see if it was an kind of little hint for the future or what.
Yeah, I
We'll
kind of
see.
thought they were going down the same direction as what the original Librarians did with the Librarian and the Guardian. So
That might be a little too obvious, and even said that there wasn't anything being set up yet, that he was going to kind of let the fans decide who was pairing up, if that
True.
happened.
Yeah, that's true. He did. So with that thought, then we might not know until season 2. Yeah.
Or maybe they'll all have relationship moments with each other.
That's true. That's true.
it's an interesting
To
concept.
see how they work.
What kind of relationships are you talking about, Greg?
Like Vikram and Liza, Vikram and Charlie, Charlie and Liza.
Exactly.
Romantic liaison?
Yes.
Yes. Maybe is the result of an artifact.
Have mercy.
Yeah, and Linda says, loved having Gregor's hammer back with Vikram as
Oh,
the
my
lead
goodness.
singer. That was funny.
It was
very
funny, but my God, it hurt my ears.
You didn't turn the volume down? Did you turn the volume up, Liz?
Probably.
Oh,
No, I didn't.
And I
But
think
I normally have stuff playing fairly loud.
I'm thinking he probably did his own singing.
Oh, I
such
think
as
he
it
did.
was.
Yeah.
I think he did.
What was with ABBA? The ABBA. Can you do? Oh goodness, what was
Dancing
Oh.
Queen.
Dancing Queen.
Dancing
Yeah.
Well,
Queen.
they had the
Dancing
they had the
Queen.
dance thing.
They had the
from-
dance choreographed, and that's
From
what
the-
they did when they were younger.
Yeah.
Okay, this is way off connection. But remember, I talked about it being a bottle episode. Well, in the series Community with Joel McHale and I don't know if you watched that, they had a
Mm.
bottle episode in which ABBA, the music, that same song was important. So now I'm making too many connections here, and it's probably way off. But
No,
just,
it probably is not, knowing Dean.
Exactly.
I mean, it is probably one of the most insidious earworms from the late 70s, early 80s. It's like once you hear it, it like takes 3 months to get it out of your head.
Oh, just 3?
It's bad enough that you mentioned it because I'm playing it in my mind as we're speaking. I thought I got it out of my mind after I was watching a convention panel of Supernatural, and Jensen and Jared had been leaving the convention, and they passed another driver that had their music up super loud, and that's what they were playing and dancing to. It took me forever to get that out of my mind, and now that you mentioned it, it is back in my head. So, Craig, I
Oops.
hate you.
Probably
That
by
is
the
funny.
end of this episode, we'll all be singing it.
Yeah, we'll
Oh,
be doing the
please.
dance.
Yeah, but we won't be able to see everybody's.
I'm gonna need a lot more to drink before that happens.
Oh
So
no, you
what are
seem to have
Vikram's
a lot
glasses?
behind you there.
Greg, go get one of Vikram's glasses.
Oh, he's got one right
The
there.
closest thing I had was a Pyrex bowl.
Whatever works.
But I'm okay. Then Connor's scene, I thought it was hilarious that he was speaking in a British accent.
That play on James Bond was so satirical, it actually bothered me.
Oh,
know,
I
e-
loved it.
Even to the fact of, the shot, the classic shot they do down the gun barrel.
Yeah.
They did that, and it's just, I'm like, seriously? I had an issue with that.
Well, I also loved how like he's scaling the building and Charlie calls him out on it. Yeah, and then he goes to go out the window and Charlie calls him out on it. So I mean,
Well,
it
it
did
was-
have those fun moments. They
Well, it was
played
funny
with those
because-
ideas.
His British accent and is his natural accent.
Yes,
I know. Yeah.
So, so he's faking a British,
But
but it's not
was
really
that his
faking.
natural British accent? Because it actually almost sounded affected.
Yes, I did. Yeah. So he really got a chance to play there.
Yeah. I think play is the operative word.
Yeah,
Yes.
and he got to climb again. I think he likes climbing.
Yeah,
That
I do
was
too.
funny.
You think that really was him?
I think part of this was. I don't know if the whole thing was. But
Mm-hmm.
It may not have been really on a building. It looked weird.
Exactly.
yeah, well, it could have been. He might have been going horizontally and not vertically.
Yeah.
It's very possible. So
And Lisa's dance. She danced a couple of times
Mhm.
with
Yes. Yes.
with Suki.
Linda says Connor as Bond looked fantastic.
Yes, he looks suave.
Yeah, those tuxedos were nice.
Suave.
I even liked Vikram's navy blue one. That looked, it suited him.
Hmm.
Which outfit is that? The flowers?
No, the tux
The
in
navy blue
Oh,
tux.
the bond. Oh yeah, he looked clean.
Pink
Yeah,
styling
Linda
in
says
Liza's version,
debonair.
not so much.
Well, I actually think hers version was the more truthful out of all of them. Of
Oh,
what
it
really
probably
happened.
was.
Yeah. Because everybody had a little slant on theirs.
Oh, I know. But I mean, the first two though, I mean, were
We're
fantastic.
really off. I know.
I mean, for styling, and that different perspective idea is kind of a lot of fun. But it seems more
Yeah.
like they had the idea of doing different perspectives before they had the idea of the story. And then
Yeah.
they're like, well, we got to somehow tie Gregor back into it, and let people know he's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we'll bring the band back, and the guy's using the magnifying glass. And
Oh, which was good. I mean, they have to remind us, we forget about everything. So
Well, I
Yeah.
didn't see the glasses until he came back and picked them up. Did anybody notice them?
Oh
he
yeah,
was
he was
wearing
wearing
them.
them. Yeah,
He was wearing
I mean, but that he left them there.
no, I didn't notice
No,
that.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
But they were all
That was-
thrown out, very quickly. So
Yeah, and that was also probably done off camera. We didn't see,
mhm.
type of thing.
So they didn't give us a chance to pick up on that before he came back.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, they could have done a close up of the glasses,
But they
and
didn't.
maybe did whatever like effect they
Mhm.
used. At least let the audience in on it.
But wouldn't you think if they had done that, the audience would have clued in too fast? Then that surprise right there at the end.
Yeah. Maybe they could have shown it in this tiny little flash by, and you had to really watch it 6 times.
Yeah,
before you
see it,
notice
watch it closely.
Like ARC uniforms floating around on a convention floor.
Mhm. You're right.
Yeah,
that was so funny.
just for fun, the director of this episode actually did one ARC episode in season 2,
Mhm.
and it was episode 9. And let me tell you the name of it, because I was wondering if she had done an ARC episode. Cycle of Violence. So she had directed that, and she directed this episode.
Okay.
So yeah, and her name is Hannah Espia, and she is from the Philippines.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
fun.
Yeah, so that's just a little trivia there that I was looking up.
Which, tying in Dean's work, I'm willing to bet she worked on Almost Paradise then.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I bet you're right.
I didn't see that in her
No.
resume, but it could be missing. It's possible.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry. Nope, there it is. You're right. She did actually 3 episodes of Almost Paradise.
Mhm.
Figures.
Yeah. So I missed that when I looked at it first. No, so she did.
Okay, I can see that now. I can see.
And I don't know if
almost
that makes a difference how this was put together, because the director's view.
Mhm.
Don't know.
Maybe.
Hopefully I can get her on and we can find out.
Yeah.
So we didn't really like the story, but they liked the way that it was. We liked somehow how it was presented.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was kind of, it was like, it's not my favorite, but there are moments that I actually laughed. So,
Well, I thought in the beginning when Charlie said my shoulder's dislocated. Okay, who thought that they would pop it back into place?
I
I
did.
watched it twice,
I did.
Yeah.
but I didn't notice obviously that they popped it back into place. Did I miss it?
I don't think they showed it.
Yeah. All we saw is her at the end with it kind of in a makeshift sling.
Yeah.
The only
But
thing we saw
that's
them do
almost
was
kind of a what do you call it? A trope where
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they left it out, which is a good thing, really. Because that
Well,
always
maybe she really did have an injury.
That's entirely possible.
No. Oh, but they did show the Connor getting the tourniquet, and I
Yeah.
almost wondered if they used a curtain, because in one shot it looked like the ends of the knot were like trailing behind him.
Well, it was his sash, those sashes that they had
Oh,
on,
that's what it was.
Yeah, it was the sashes. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out. I saw the I do, but I couldn't figure out what else it said. And I was trying to. It says I do something because Suki said bride,
Pride.
Yeah.
and the other said I do, and I couldn't read the rest.
I don't know.
So
I've never.
it was funny
done
Yeah, I
that they
couldn't read
used
it
them.
either.
They used them for everything else, but for a sash. Charlie used it for a sling, and Connor used it for a tourniquet, and so that was funny.
So the one thing that like set me almost immediately off was the type of character that Suki started to be. Did not seem like someone Lysa would be friends with.
Exactly.
And I think that soured the episode for me.
I was really taken aback when she just walked in and kind of like threw her luggage, and it's like,
Yeah, like
you do it.
servants.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm above this.
Yeah,
That
it
really
didn't
kind
seem
of
like
bugged me.
someone who was, a scientist and doing a startup would waste time with.
Oh, Linda
But they
got a
did kind of
magnet.
explain the relationship between the two of them.
Mm.
Childhood friends, basically from the time they were, 15, something like that. And then Suki, I guess, had chased off all of her friends because only she wanted to be friends with her. So I think the original portrayal that we saw of Suki was truly how she was like. Just maybe a little different, with a one-on-one relationship.
What a horrible friend.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But Liza
Michael,
forgave her.
yeah, Michael, you were saying something?
Yeah, I said Linda had a magnifying glass, bride to be, on the sash.
On Connor and Lysa.
I think is on Lysa's. Yeah, I think that's what I'm assuming she
That was
meant.
on Suki's.
Yeah, that was
Was
Suki's.
bride to be, but not the others.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't know. She just said bride to be. There's
Go
no
to work,
context.
Linda. I know you can do it.
You have to be more specific in the chat room because we don't get the questions till a little bit later, so they're not instantaneous. So, so that's the problem with that. But anything else? I don't expect this episode to last very long. Review show, but
I thought it was funny that Vikram kept bringing out the little umbrellas.
well, how many drinks he had, and I guess he saved all the umbrellas. That's
I guess so.
It reminded me of the first episode when he was pulling out the bottles of liquor.
Uh-huh. Oh, when Cupid was doing that?
Yes.
The one thing that actually irked me, though, for somebody who has taken it, has family members that have taken it, I did not like, and I know we only had, 40-some minutes to actually get through the whole story. I did not like how fast the Valoran route affected Vikram. It does not work that fast. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It's slower than melatonin, isn't it?
Exactly. If she had given it to him early on when he was just starting to drink, and then as he was getting, more drinks, maybe he would have thought it was more intoxication than, the sleep aid. And you just doesn't knock you out like that.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a better play on continuity with things.
Yeah.
But anything else you want to talk about the episode?
Well, let's see. I thought their memories became really specific really quick, too.
Yeah, when they said they couldn't remember anything, and then all of a sudden they started remembering everything.
Yeah, I did like, one thing I actually laughed at was I did like how Charlie called out Connor. That didn't happen. He's like, but I wish it would have happened that way, type of thing.
Yeah, more exciting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, you do what you have to do.
I did like seeing Gregor's hammer again in their various...
yeah, I was happy to see, since we had Haran on the red-haired one on our show. I mean, it was kind of fun seeing him again. Mm-hmm. So
that was. I think I think we knew they'd be back. Actually,
yeah, we knew they'd be back. Yeah,
but they are definitely foreshadowing a finale with.
Yeah,
absolutely.
With Gregor. But what I had trouble with all that is if he's in the time bubble and slowed, how can he interact outside of the time bubble?
I guess we're going to have to find out.
Well, I think the magnifying glass did
Does
like a
so.
narrow beam through it to where he could only partially come through to talk.
Mm.
Because wasn't he telling the leader of Gregor's Hammer, are you ready for me to come all the way forward? So,
Mm.
yeah, I think it had something to do with the magnifying glass. Just
Mm.
Oh
breaking
yeah, but I
through
thought the
just enough.
magnifying glass just revealed magic.
Yeah, this seemed like more of a direct beam straight into it, though. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Either that or that particular painting is like a Horcrux or something. It's
That
part
could
of.
be.
Could be pretty interesting for you
Yeah.
Potterheads out there. Horcruxes for you non-Potterheads. A Horcrux is a container into which a mage can contain part of his soul.
Go read Harry Potter and you'll figure it out.
Yes.
There you go. There you go. So,
Well, one significant thing they had, I thought was significant, is when they mentioned a family by choice, and that they took up for each other, and that's how they saved each other was by self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a big step in the relationship between all of them, is that they have now chosen to be a family.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing the evolution of that. I mean, the writers have been good in like actually showing progression,
Mm-hmm.
of that, between, Charlie feeling left out to then, you know, her getting included, and then in the after adventure drinks, and then
Yeah.
the you know Vikram really worried about them, um and then of course some of the interactions in this episode,
Mm-hmm.
which I still say Vikram was still woozy.
Well, there was no doubt he was still woozy, but was that why he expressed what he expressed? That was the
Well,
question.
maybe he truly does feel that way about them.
Hmm.
Mm.
remember, I think it was episode 6 that he said at the end, he said that they're all in the place they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that has a lot to say with what this episode did.
Yep.
Just, he saw where they were supposed to be, and now they're becoming a family.
Mhm.
So
One thing I was wondering about that too, because episode 6 was one of my favorites so far, is could Vikram have knowledge of future events?
Good point.
Hmm.
yeah, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what he did when he was a rogue.
Did he time travel to the future? But then again, you think he would have known certain things that he saw already.
You would think, yeah.
The cell phone and other things. You would think he'd figured that out.
Well, unless he only went to the 1900s early.
Well,
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that thing, the from the train episode. So his future self could have
Mm,
told him something.
this is true.
Yeah, we just know what he said he told himself.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Because
that's a lot to
he
contemplate.
seems to have gotten attached to them
Quickly.
very quickly.
Yeah.
It's gone from camaraderie to being worried about them in like 2 episodes, and then and now it's like they're closer knit than just a team.
Yeah.
Even though Liza was going to leave, nobody's brought that up.
Well, she changed her mind, so we don't.
yeah.
Know.
And was she saying that she was going to leave more because she was under a spell,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
or bringing out other feelings that maybe have been nagging at her, and it's like, should I not?
Good possibility.
Yeah.
The writing just didn't seem that deep, though.
Well, you never know.
You never know. They might have tried to be a little deep.
Well, I was curious to know whether the ice villa was a real myth, and it actually is. I looked in the they had Serbian folk tales of the ice nymphs, and they had pictures and whatnot. So I did my first actual research on something. I'm giving myself a gold star for that.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I figured they were a much like the naiads or dryads, or a fairy of some sort.
Mm-hmm. And she reminded me of the lady in Frozen. The pictures that I saw had the same.
Of Elsa?
Yes, yes. And I thought, oh, that's
That probably was
her
intentional.
headpiece was very cool.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll find out this weekend.
Yes, we will.
Can't believe it.
A lot of times for TV, they do stuff intentionally recognizable to convey it without actually having to explain it.
That would make sense.
Yeah. Okay, that's another earworm for you.
I don't know. There's a parody of that floating around the internet.
Well, it was bad enough that, on a side note, I'm a huge buff of certain types of history, and Amelia Earhart is one. And there was a post that was done, and somebody took and reworded the lines from Gilligan's Island, the very beginning of it, the intro song, and they had reworded it to Amelia Earhart's Lost Plane. So I'm reading this, and I'm doing it in my head to the theme of Gilligan's Island, and it took me a week to get that out of my head.
Oh my goodness!
So you've got Dancing Queen, Gilligan's Island.
Oh God! I think I need one of Vikram's drinks.
I don't know. They might be building up to a musical episode.
Yeah, maybe. Just
I did like the brightness of the scene, the light blue walls and the flowers, and I enjoyed that a lot, along with the costumes, which I'm sure we'll be able to hear more about very soon. Which I'm excited
about. The chateau is beautiful. The location they used.
Yeah, the location actually reminded me a lot of a YouTuber called Joey Garcefa. He does a show. He's in for 4 seasons now, called Escape the Night, and it's kind of like a reality show inside an escape room. And I would swear, because he's filmed some there, I would be 100% certain it's the same chateau that he's used for at least one of his seasons. Because it looks so familiar the second you walked in.
Yeah, sometimes I'd love to know, like, if it is a location, what location it is. Sometimes you swear you've seen it somewhere else.
Well, that used to be that way with a lot of Hollywood productions. Some of the same stuff was used over and over and over again.
Oh, and Star Trek was good for that too.
Oh,
True.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, that's that convention center.
Uh-huh.
No, it's in Ocampa City. No, it's a convention center.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
So who picked up on the wedding planner from the beginning? I should say Greg. Who picked up on
I
the
didn't. Even
I
though it
didn't.
seemed like he showed up out of nowhere at first, until they explained her arriving in, I think, Liza's version.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was her, but I did think it had something to do with the ring, because the stone on the ring looked cracked, broken.
Exactly, yeah.
So I did think it had something to do with the ring.
It makes sense that was an artifact too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
True. Well, it was the only thing in the episode so far that could have been an artifact, that unless it was something that they hadn't introduced.
Yeah. Something lurking in the background or something.
Yes.
Like Gregor's hammer, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
One of the guitars or the bass is
Mhm. Well,
demonic.
Liz, I think if you want to get those other songs out of your head,
Oh no.
you
What are you
just
gonna do?
listen to Vikram
Oh, that'll do it.
being
Believe
the
me,
lead
that'll do
singer
it.
in that band. I think that might do it.
I think you're right.
I will say one thing. I absolutely loved his little bat wings.
Yes.
And I noticed also at one point it wasn't an umbrella, the little umbrella drinks. I didn't see that in his hair for one of the shots, but it was almost like a baby bat wing up in his hair as well too.
Oh, I missed that.
I missed that too.
But
I did think it was
absolutely
funny that Vikram just kept pulling those umbrellas out of his clothes.
out of everywhere. I know. And yeah, it was very reminiscent of Cupid with the bottles of booze.
Yes.
That was so funny. But oh. Well, is that kind of it, or do you
I
think
think
it's enough?
so.
I think so.
Yeah, Marcia, is that it for you?
Yeah, I was gonna say something else, but I don't think.
Say it.
Well, okay. They use the word bitch toward women a few times, and it kind of stood out to me. The resting bitch face, and she's acting like a bitch, and I was like, huh? I thought it was kind of interesting that to use that word more than a couple of times to describe women and their attitude.
You have had to have heard of RBF. I mean, that's been common for
Oh
what,
yeah,
20
that
years
was
or more now.
I'd heard of it. I just thought it was an interesting take, and when they were all imitating the RBF, as you said, and
Oh,
I
that
thought
was funny.
Oh, it
that was
was.
interesting. I wonder, because I know writers sometimes they click onto something. There's something that they want to kind of say and say it in sort of different ways, and I'd like to know how that clicked in Rebecca's script. Why she put it in there? I'm just curious.
I don't know, but I've heard my mother use that word more often than any guy. But I mean, the RBF thing. It's almost turned into like, if you've got it, you own it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's almost passe, if I must say.
Yeah.
Because it was real popular, say 2 years ago, to say that, and now it's not so much. So that's all I was thinking.
Yeah. Although, it is, and now that you mention it, it is surprising to hear, pejorative in a modern show.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember when the show Manifest went from NBC to Netflix, and they started to use curse words, 4-letter words, and it was a shock to me at first. And I think they did it first for kind of because they could, and sort of to show, yes, now we're going to do a little bit more adult, where you have a little bit more freedom to say and do more adult things. And
It used to be, what was it? One curse word per episode or something. They were allowed.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes.
I remember South Park making a big deal about relaxing those rules, and
Oh yeah.
they took the explicative for excrement to the nines in one of their episodes.
I don't think I'd be started thinking about South Park.
Have you ever seen the D&D episode?
I don't
South
think
Park?
so.
Oh my God.
You mean the Lemmy Winks one?
Yes. Where they're so
D&D more than it was Lord of the Rings.
No, this was D&D. I mean, they were so into. I mean, they took the gamer's persona and amplified it like by 100 times.
That one, yes.
Yeah, remember when they were refusing to get up to go take care of personal needs? And
Yes.
I'm like, oddly enough, I know gamers that are almost that bad.
Oh my God.
In your own house, huh?
No comment. But my husband asked me a little bit ago, he goes, well, now that you're back to pretty much being normal, can I go back to gaming now? I'm like, yes, please.
That is too much. Well, on that fun note,
We're totally off
he's trying to
subject.
close this thing like 3 times.
I know. 4 times.
It's like enough already.
Michael wants to go to bed.
no, I've got a party to go to.
Caffeinated.
You've got a what to go to?
Party.
Oh,
You have a party to go to?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Oh, well then.
You know, that's what's so fun about life.
I'm going to use my RBF.
As you should. So, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I can't go either way on this, so I'm going to go
Sideways.
In the middle,
Sideways.
yeah.
Because there's great aspects,
And then there's
I didn't like the story that was those aspects were built around too.
so
much.
it's like sideways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
agree with that?
I agree with that.
If
Yeah,
we
I
were
agree.
grading, I'd say this would be their first C.
Yes, I would agree
exactly.
with that too.
Uh,
If we were on doing the Roger scale.
Yes.
I think Linda's giving it a thumbs up.
Yep, she's giving it a thumbs up. So, but the panel is giving it a in between.
Yeah.
And next up is And the Feast of the Vampire.
Yeah.
That one is going to be so fun. Absolutely so fun.
And we finally get to see Pavle.
I know. That's, yeah.
He's been in the promo materials all year so far. It's like,
I know.
When is he going to be on? Yeah. But he's in next week.
Wow.
So I hope they do a really good creature effect with him.
Let me ask you a quick question. Did they know before they finished filming season 1 that they had gotten season 2?
No.
You know?
No.
Okay.
So we should have a nice, neat little bow at the end of the first season.
I was thinking about that.
They're either going to leave it so that it could go, or
it could be,
have it be like a limited series with a nice ending point.
Mm-hmm.
Or they did it both ways. And
I think they probably did it both ways.
And we'll get the cliffhanger. I hate cliffhangers, especially in these really short runs.
Oh, I know.
Because then you gotta wait. Like,
how long did we have to wait from season 1 to season 2 in the arc?
Oh, that was what?
Almost
a little over a year.
Yeah, that was 20 months.
Because it rolled in January, and then it was later. It didn't roll until like September the
Yeah.
following year. So it was like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How rude of them, but understandable with the strikes and everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
Michael,
and
go ahead.
if I remember right, they were also delayed even starting filming anyway because they didn't get their season 2. Oh, they did get it right at the end of season 1. That's right.
They got it right at the end of season 1.
That's right.
Okay.
So
Well,
we
that's
shall
good.
see. But so our big news, which we keep talking about, we keep hinting about, is we do have Ivana Vasic coming on Sunday to talk about costuming, which is going to be wonderful.
Yes.
Excited for that.
And that is at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's a little bit earlier, 10 a.m. Pacific time. So please join us there because we are really looking forward to that. And I actually have from last week's episode, the tarot reading card actor, Sam Bell, will be with us August 10th. I'm still waiting for a time on that, but it will be August 10th, which is a Sunday.
Excellent.
So we're looking forward to that.
Yes.
And that's all the ones of.
Don't
What?
forget Dominic.
Oh, well, that's the next week. I was going to.
Yeah, well, you went all the way up through August, so.
Well, that's true. I skipped Dominic, mainly because Dominic's such a cool guy. But yeah, so
It was
he is
great,
the
Liz.
18th of July, which is on a Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific time. And he is going to be talking about his new movie that he produced, directed, and wrote also.
Excellent.
So that's going to be some fun times. So on behalf of NDB Media, Talented Universe, Marcia, Liz, and Greg, and myself, thank you for coming, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Woo, keep
Bye.
reading.